The first Native American word that I heard in my life, like that was Roanoke. So I was gonna come to Virginia Tech, and then the airport I was gonna come in was Roanoke, right? So Roanoke is also a town, and it's also a river. And Roanoke basically means the white shells, the beads that are smoothed from the shells, right? So then a lot of like these words, like come to learn a lot of words, and then like when I moved to Pennsylvania, like there's a whole lot of word that I like learn every day. Suppose like Schuylkill River, or like Wissahickon Park, or like Manayunk, Passayunk, like those are the name of the streets. And then like so I was a big fan of J.R. Tolkien's work, like the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit and then the Silmarillion and everything. So like all those trails and everything really like I was really mesmerized with the idea that the Native American people are walking in these trails and they're like making, and there's like no bounds of the states or the like everything, and it was like very beautiful. And if you live in like very rural Southwest Virginia, like it's you cannot miss it. So like so again, but I think like now that I know more and like now I'm more interested, then I learned that there are like different like tongues, different languages. Suppose like the Algonquin, they were like the biggest tribe of the northeast part, and then there was the Iroquois. Iroquois was more in the mid part and like the Midwest, like mid South, that part. And then I think there was like those Mississippians who came. So US was the last where human being actually originated, and these tribes mainly came from like Canada, like the like Alaska, Canada, like that part. So anyway, so again, it's my own like personal like liking that I love like Native American culture. And this was actually, so I'm pretty proud today because most of the slides actually have postcards or cards that is mine, like that are mine. So like I'm pretty happy for that. So this was a card, and I actually bought it from, you can see this is signed because I bought the card from the like artist herself. She was the artist. I still cannot say what she wrote on that because she was a very like she didn't spoke a lot of words. Like she was a very somber woman. But that was like a it was like exhibit, not an exhibition, it was like a fair of like Native American culture, and I like accidentally went there in Philly. But anyway, so you can see like she like his name is Slow Turtle. Like those are the names like that people, because Native Americans had those names like where they like the qualitative names, right? So if you look like here, this is pretty funny, like not funny, like interesting. Like so she is of a Wampanoag tribal nation. So the first ones that came from Canada, like they were called the First Nations. So again, she was the descendant of these and then she is also all these tribes. So the thing is like there were the big tribes, and then they had these small tribes, right? And they were interconnected with each other, and they were like moving. So suppose they like, so Narragansett is Rhode Island. So I think she's from Rhode Island. Yeah. So anyway, so you can see that how like these tribes were like you can see like in the whole US, it was an already inhabited country, right? And suppose they are moving like so Algonquian like were more like here, and you can see here that the people are moving. I was actually looking at the Shawnee tribes move because my apartment's name was Shawnee. So like you can see here that like these people suppose they were cultivating like corn and I think squash corn and another was something like they had a way of like um, doing cultivation one by one, same as Bangladesh. They do the zoom. So like they were moving and they were doing the cultivations, and once they had like good enough food or like there's something like that part is done, then they move a little like different place and then they go back again. So people are moving, right? Like you can see that all the little and they have like their own cultures, their own names, their everything. So Native American art is really not what we call art. Like they have you if you remember before, like suppose when Mongols, I was talking about the Mongols empire, like they were an empire on run. So they wanted to have like a book or something. So similarly, like Native Americans are like they're moving, right? So and there is like drought, there is cold, there is everything. So this is really not feasible for them to have separate things as art. They're moving on their like way. So Native American art is mostly objects. Suppose baskets or like a water can or like a headdress or something like that. Why I'm talking about baskets and the quills? Because I actually went to the Trenton, and then like they had a whole like in I think it was like New Jersey State Museum or something, and they had the whole section of baskets made of like birch the bark of the trees, and like you can see how intricate those details are, and at the same time they're usable, they're durable, like so that like so when we talk about like any like art, we really have to understand the culture, right? Like the art of empire which is established, their art will be more like sculptures or like big things, something people go and look at. But a whole culture which is moving is really like not that they will have like big things. But suppose some of these tribes, the Mississippian tribes, like they had something called mounds. Like suppose they will put they were more like they were not very much like moving, but like suppose they would put a lot of soil in one place, and they would make like a higher place from the ground, and those mounds they actually used it to look at the sky, because for them it was really important to like know when the moon is like up, when the sun is like everything about the moon, and everything was very important for their cultivation, their movement, their everything. So they were very known for their mounds, and some of those mounds were like looked like snakes, because again like I probably will come up to it later, but like one thing about understanding art and culture is that where the geography of a place and then the lifestyle of people. Suppose they had those snakes, like suppose in here, snakes are very beneficial because they eat rats or like the insects or stuff like that. And then so they take snake as their friends, right? Like so in Native American culture, you'll see that snake is more like a friend deity, right? But at the same time, in Mesopotamian or like Arab or those like cultures, they are in a desert. So any kind of like snake or any kind of like the reptiles are like very harmful for them. They will bite, sting. So for them, snake was a evil thing, right? And then when like all the like Abrahamic religions came in, and then like they were spread all over and even in Europe and stuff, and then they in those cultures, in those arts, you'll see snake as a evil thing, but here snake is a beneficial thing, right? So the art also talks the same. And when one culture goes to another culture, like they meet and they clash because in like in each culture, understandings are so like ingrained, then they cannot take that. So I'm talking about snake in a like very metaphorical way, but like it's suppose like when the colonists came in and then they saw these arts, these were really not anything like valuable for them or anything tangible for them because it's just different. But again, it's just different because like it depends on like so whenever we see something, we really have to understand that like where it comes from, right? So yeah, but I can like come back to it later. But like yeah, so this was I think like what I wanted to show in this map is that every part of US there were like different tribes already. Some were more civilized, some were more like eloquent, and they had their own like territories. And another thing about territories is that nothing is written, so they know that like so suppose which tribe like stays in like Pennsylvania, they will move to like Virginia at some point maybe, like so it's for them territory is really not like that. They mix, they like match, they have fights, like so this is a very different idea of territory from like when colonists will come in. So anyway, so moving to here, this is again those are my postcards and I'm very again happy for them. Like those are actually pictures of people, and then you can see this is a 1977 postcard. So I got it from the garage sale. I just wanted to show it off. Okay, but I think like you can like appreciate that like they like again as I was talking about the baskets, same thing. It's like there the beads, the like the colors of the beads, the patterns of the beads, and everything was very distinct and very like probably I even don't know which tribe the who belongs to, but probably they know and stuff like that. So I really like their smile. So anyway, and then this was from Massachusetts. You can see like this was handwritten. Okay, so the next one I wanted to say the other side of the story. So suppose there are natives and then the government is now making states, and then like people came in and then they bought lands, right? So now they have a piece of paper which says that this is your land, but there are already native people living there and they're like what? So like one person has a piece of paper that says that this is your land, and then the other person has no idea of what a like what possession of land is, because before that, if you remember, like there is no idea of possession of land, right? So land, water, like those are everybody's. So they I think understanding was so lost. And I think once I heard that like the the history of human civilization is the history of selfishness. So like that's the most truest thing anyway. So like you can see now there will be people coming in and they are struggling, right? They came all the way from other part of the world, and like now they want to have their dreams, right? And now like the ideologies, the everything is come. And now another part of American art will start, which is actually called American art, that is like the wild, wild west, right? So this is not just wild, wild west, but like so this was a very famous picture. I saw it there, but like the thing is, I also wanted to understand the other part of the story, because most of the time we really don't understand that that person also bought the land. So like, so yeah, and then yeah, I just wanted to tell the other part of the story. So anyway, so now you understand that like different clashes are going on. Government is in their side, and there is not just like killings and like struggling. There is also a lot of exploitation. So different things are going in, and the history of US is very shady, and I'm not even going in the Civil War part here. But what happened for in the art's sake is this is called the Trail of Tears. So I think in 1830 the government decided that all the tribes that are east of Mississippi, which is the most, like if you remember from my earlier map, that like most of the tribes were at in the east of Mississippi, and they were the civilized tribes and everything. So they have to move to the west of Mississippi, because now they will make like actual states in the east of Mississippi. So suppose, I think at that time Texas happened, and then like Oklahoma was later, I think Texas and Georgia. But anyway, so they will make new states, and like so there were fights, there were a lot of things happen, and there were a lot of like conspiracy theories, and they said like these Indians will vanish anyway. There were a lot of killings, there were like what I'm talking about, exploitation is the hardest thing. And if you like, there is a movie I just watched it, I think on plane, like the Killers of the Flower Moon. Please watch this movie. Like you'll understand how, like even if like the it's about the Osage Nation, and then like how the exploitation really happened, some of it. So the Trail of Tears is that all the tribes have to move from the east of Mississippi to the west of Mississippi, right? And it's a long trail. And then then there will be a reserved Indian, like reserve, and everybody has to be there. And the thing is like it happened for like I think 10 or 20 years. And then you can see people are going in like different people. And then they also had like the starvation, the disease, and all. I'm not even talking about all those disease that the colonists brought with them, and then all the food changes, the opium problem, like so many things. And then like for the art is was it was devastating because remember every tribe had their own identity, right? So now you are assimilating all of the tribes together. So they like when they're not even surviving, what about the art and what about the baskets and what about everything, right? So they lost a lot of their like art, their languages, their like distinct features of like each tribe, of each everything. And then like it was pretty devastating, like the trail. That's why it's called the Trail of Three Tears. And then like they, and also there will be like now tribe to tribe fighting, right? So yeah, so I think like I just wanted to mention to this part of the story. This is also a painting, and then like yeah, this was just sad. And then why I'm talking about all this is this story is really everybody's story, right? So all of these pictures are Kanak Chanpa Chakma's, and I love her art a lot. Like I think she's my favorite artist in Bangladesh, to be honest. Like I, not just her subject or anything. I love the colors, like how she portrays everything with the colors. They're so distinct, and at the same time they're just so like it, they're just super beautiful, and they're like anyway. But why it's important for Bangladesh and everybody as well is I think respecting the boundaries of the cultures is really important. Sometimes like I'm not even talking about like the political problems or the country's issues, or like you cannot just put settlers in, or like you cannot like take the settlers out. I'm not even going into that part. For just for the suppose art thing, or like as I was talking about the snake, right? So suppose when you go to like any hill parts and you'll see like there are those pigs like eating like the houses are like that, that the pigs are downstairs, right? And then like the in the top there are human, like because that's how their like thing work, right? So and that's how the whole ecosystem work. And if you go there and you want to just put like plastics, and if you want to know I want like very fancy bathrooms and showers and everything, this is just very bad. And sometimes I feel like I really don't need to experience everything of everybody. So I don't know if I can explain it. Suppose there are some rituals, there are some boundaries that even if a tribe is of two people, I should respect that boundary, right? Like if they are like, okay, we do not like allow outsiders or like another religion if in this ritual, I should respect that, right? So a thing I'm like seeing more and more and more is that people have a feeling that like they have to experience everything, and they have to know everything, they have to understand like each other in one extent that it's just crossing boundaries. So I think as long as like people are comfortable, that's fine. But if somebody is not comfortable, having that boundary is very important. So it's about respecting cultures, I guess. Like something is probably not appropriate in my culture, but it could be appropriate in their culture, right? Anybody's culture. So like I think, yeah, I just wanted to mention that like sometimes it's better to have some boundaries between like every culture. And when I'm talking about boundaries, I'm not talking about like segregation or like we will not talk or know each other. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm just telling that I don't need a fancy shower on a very very like I don't know the word, but like you understand, like in a mountain or something. So I have to understand how the ecosystem work and how people work. I do not need like loud noise. I do not need like a group of 100 people. So I think that's it for now. Bye.